The state of the economy has been a major concern for many people, and a CNBC study shows that 81% of Americans fear an upcoming recession. Even billionaire investor Warren Buffett, the CEO of multinational Berkshire Hathaway, is showing concern about the economy. Berkshire Hathaway controls over 65 companies in various industries, such as fast food, building supplies, and railways. Buffett has access to weekly updates on the performance of these businesses, including their sales, product movements, and customer behavior. Given this valuable insight, his recent statement that the economy is slowing down significantly cannot be overlooked. It's crucial to note that his assessment comes from a unique perspective, and his statement has the potential to influence other investors and even policymakers. With such a wealth of information at his disposal, Buffett's words carry significant weight, and his concern should be taken seriously. In this video, we will discuss 3 principles from Buffett that you can start applying today that will help you build wealth regardless of what's happening in the economy. Number 1. View stock market declines as an opportunity. People become happy, furious, and frustrated when their stock portfolio loses value the following day after becoming pleased when it gains 2% in a single day. If you are what Buffett calls a net saver, you should be happy to see the stock market collapse. This is what that implies. A net saver is someone who is currently spending less than they are earning, according to Buffett, and one's savings make up the difference between their income and their outgoings. Therefore, the majority of people save money with the hope that they would one day be able to do without employment. Let's imagine someone saves and invests $200 every week from their paycheck. They educate themselves about investing by watching investor-centered videos and reading books by Warren Buffett. The stock market is the simplest and most direct method of investing for the typical person. If you're not a saver, you're going to see the statistics supporting why dropping stock prices are a positive thing. You see, each share of stock corresponds to a very small ownership interest in a company. You can become a shareholder in a firm by purchasing 1 share. With each additional share you purchase, your ownership stake grows. With that in mind, shouldn't your objective be to own the largest possible share of the company? The more your ownership stake in a company, the greater your entitlement to a share of its profits. Okay, so now you've identified a stock you want to buy. Buying stocks during a market decline can be a smart investment strategy. For example, if a stock that you've been buying drops in price by 50%, you can now buy double the amount of shares for the same amount of money. Even though the media may report negative news about the stock market, it's important to consider the fundamentals of the companies you are investing in. With time, the stock market will likely recover, and those who bought during the decline may be seen as savvy investors. Number 2. Avoid do-something bias. The innate human tendency to choose activity over passivity is known as the do-something bias, sometimes known as action bias. When I listened to Charlie Munger's renowned speech titled 24 Common Causes of Human Misjudgment, I first became aware of this psychological prejudice. The so-called do-something bias was one of the 24 psychological biases Munger discusses in the speech that inhibit people from succeeding. This bias exists because having a propensity for action is frequently in our best interest. Popular sayings like, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," capture this dynamic, and starting is the key to moving forward in most activities. It is obvious that society rewards those who feel driven to act. So, let's say you are a custodian for a football team or a soccer team for your friends outside of the US, and you're getting ready to save a penalty kick in the middle of a crucial match. If you're like the majority of goalies, you'll almost always jump to the left or the right when attempting to stop a penalty kick. However, if you merely remain still, your odds of successfully blocking the kick are statistically higher. What then drives you to jump rather than maintain your position? The idea that doing something is preferable to doing nothing is known as the action bias. You might believe that if you could show that you made an effort to stop it, people would be less critical of your inability to make the saving. Unfortunately, and despite how counterintuitive it may seem in this instance, waiting increases your chances of failure. When it comes to investing, this action bias can be disastrous whenever the stock market makes a significant shift. People frequently have strong urges to act. This holds true in both rising and falling pricing situations when the value of assets is increasing. When people witness other people make what seems to be easy money on some speculative asset, it hurts for them to stay on the sidelines. This is known as FOMO, or fear of missing out. The action bias eventually drives people to participate themselves. When the bubble eventually bursts, this frequently makes it worse. The folks who invested in the bubble last suffer the greatest financial losses. Additionally, when stock prices are declining, the action bias comes into play. The ordinary person's net worth is mostly made up of their investment portfolio, which makes stock market falls all the more unsettling. The likelihood that the price drops will continue is likewise very uncertain. The action bias will manifest itself perfectly in this situation of discomfort and uncertainty. People feel as though they need to take action when they experience these feelings. However, that typically necessitates selling out at the market's low, which is unpleasant for the majority of investors. Number 3. Build a personal fortress balance sheet. Recessions aren't a concern to Buffett in large part because Berkshire Hathaway was created to have what he calls a fortress balance sheet, according to Buffett. In plain English, a balance sheet lists all of a company's assets in one area and all of its liabilities in the other. An organization like Berkshire can weather a financial disaster thanks to its solid balance sheet. Let's look at the balance sheet for Berkshire. In the year 2022, Berkshire held about $93 billion in short-term treasury bonds and $32 billion in cash, which is essentially the company's equivalent of money in a high-interest savings account. This financial strength is unmatched by almost any other firm in the world and amounts to over $120 billion in essentially cash that Berkshire can utilize if it ever needs to. But none of this happens by accident. This is a very purposeful move on Buffett's part. He runs the company in such a way that it never overextends itself and runs the risk of running into financial difficulties. Even though the phrase fortress balance sheet is most often associated with businesses, managing our personal finances with this objective might make a lot of sense for each of us. Consider that we have two individuals, Jack and Matt. Jack has a solid balance sheet with assets such as cash, stocks, a car, and a house, but only has a mortgage as debt. Matt, on the other hand, has assets worth more than Jack, but has significant debt, including credit card debt, a car loan, college loans, and a hefty mortgage. Now that we are aware of Jack and Matt's individual balance sheets, who do you believe is better positioned to handle a downturn in the economy? Jack is the one I would bet on. Jack is better positioned to handle a downturn in the economy because of his stronger balance sheet and financial reserve, while Matt could be in serious trouble due to the fragility of his personal balance sheet. In addition, Jack owns a lot of cash and stocks that he might use to support himself in the event that he lost his work. In fact, if there was a downturn in the economy, he could use his savings to purchase stocks at a discount. Given that Jack has established his own personal balance sheet, a recession might represent a chance for him. Despite the fact that this scenario is undoubtedly oversimplified, it should provide a useful foundation for illustrating the significance of the fortress balance sheet idea. Well, that's it for today's video. What do you think of our video? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel because it's my goal to make you a better investor by studying the world's greatest investors. Thanks for watching.